lot of people, we look to other people and they look like they've got it all together, right? They're like, oh, they've got this amazing business, or they've got this great love life, or, you know, like they had a shower today, like whatever that looks like.
Not me.
You know, but so I think we look to others and we compare our worst day to their best day, and we think that that's the truth of their life or our life. And so what would you say to people who are thinking like, oh my gosh, whoever I'm looking at as a model of inspiration, they've got it all together, I could never do that? What would you say to them?
I love that you brought this up because it's something I hear very often, and it's maddening in that I have a large social media exposure. We are constantly putting out videos. I'm a vice president of the Edmonton Business Association. You know, I'm involved in the community. And so there's a lot of exposure. And when I meet women, especially for the first time, it is something that I hear so often in that, Jesse, you look like you have it all together. Like you're doing so well and everything is so great, you know? And I think that something that I would really like to work on as like human beings is sharing more of that truth. Is just that real authentic journey. And you know, often I will answer or respond with like, funny, because I had a meltdown in the car in the parking lot right before coming in. You know, like I have high anxiety. It's something that I work through on a daily basis. I'm developing tools through EFT and such, which is emotional freedom techniques, to really manage that. But I was at a point where I would be driving the car and I would have a panic attack and I had to pull over because I just couldn't even, I knew where I was going and I couldn't make a decision on what street to turn down to get there. And people don't look at me and see that, right? And I hear it all the time. None of us do. None of us. So where I'm going with this is the sharing that I feel needs to happen much more often. The realness, the genuine experience, without going into a negative energetic spiral. And so what that looks like is being honest about your experiences, being honest about some of the challenges, but not turning it into a fueling of fire session where it's comparing all of the negatives, but that it's like, okay, so we're going through this and I was able to overcome it because I called a family member, or I was able to overcome it because I did some breathing and really try to have that sharing without the negative spiral. You know what I'm talking about, right? Because we can start bitching about our partner or complaining about our work or the vacation wasn't exactly as we expected, rather than making sure that the energetic frequency is on an upswing, right? But sharing that I'm not perfect, life's not perfect, things are challenging for all of us. And I think the number one thing is we really can't compare ourselves to others. And it's ingrained in us too. So that's definitely a barrier that I think that all of us have work to do in, because it does come so naturally, when really the only one that we need to be comparing anything to is where we set our own bar and ourselves, right? And striving to just be a better version of ourselves than we were the day before and the day after that. And there's going to be slips and there's going to be lapses and there's going to be all of these 2 steps back. But that the focus and the intention is on that forward momentum of personal self-growth.
And truly that's, you know, what I believe becoming the heroine of your own life is about, is that you don't negate the challenges. You acknowledge the challenges, you acknowledge those fall on the floor moments. And yes, you don't try to spiritual bypass them. You feel the feelings, you allow those emotions to move through you, because otherwise it gets stored in your body as trauma and you don't want that, right? So you allow those, but then you pick yourself up. Well, I guess, first of all, you recognize that you have a choice to pick yourself up and say, who do I want to be here? And so maybe the vacation wasn't what I thought it was. Maybe my partner is driving me crazy. Maybe I have a health thing I'm navigating. So yes, at the level of fact, these are happening, but who do I want to choose to show up as within this? How am I becoming the hero of my own journey? And really, I believe
Yeah.
it's knowing, first of all, who you are, what's important to you.
Yeah, definitely. And
Yeah.
awareness and acknowledgement and gratitude, which is not a switch. I heard a
Mhm.
term recently in regards to toxic positivity, which
Mm,
I thought was really
mhm,
powerful. It was actually
mhm,
through my daughter's coach and Ashley Kumar, who I'm going to give a shout out to because she's
mm,
absolutely amazing. And she was talking about that emotional bypassing and that there's toxic
mhm.
positivity. So
Yeah.
when a child is experiencing something or at school and the girls aren't getting along, this was common for my mom. And I was just having this conversation with my cousin to gaslight the situation
Mm, mhm.
with not without the intention of hurting me. But we will
Yeah.
do that in all of our relationships sometimes where
Yeah.
rather than validating or affirming the feelings or emotions, it's either, oh no, they're not thinking, they're not talking about you, don't like, you're just
Yeah.
imagining things. And is it a
Yeah.
story you're creating in your head? And maybe it
Yeah.
is, but that's not for us to call out other people on.
Mhm,
That's for them to
mhm,
call themselves out on, right? So
mhm.
there's that gaslighting that can occur. And then there's also the, like you said, like the emotional bypassing of the toxic positivity. So
Yeah.
just be happy. Let's think about things
Ah.
we're grateful for. Let's list 3 things we're grateful for. And when I
Yeah.
say this, I get these shudders because I've done
Yeah.
this with my daughter. I've done this
Yeah.
and I'm
Yeah.
learning, I'm growing. And again, I asked for help because she's preteen and I don't know
Mm,
how to navigate this. So
mhm,
I brought somebody in that gives me tools to learn this. And it's hard
mhm.
because there's a whole lot that I've
Oh,
done
yes.
wrong, quote unquote, or could have done better. But I didn't
Yeah.
know. I didn't know
Yeah.
better. I
Yeah.
knew what I knew then. And now I know better. So I will do better,
Mhm,
Maya Angelou.
mhm,
Right. So it's it's just, we need to be delicate with each other as well in
mhm.
some of that desire to for other people to feel better because you don't want them to be bringing you down, or your energetic vibe is kind of killing mine, by not doing that toxic positivity thing either. It's gratitude is not a
Mhm.
switch, it's a practice. And it
Yeah.
takes time to be able to rewire the brain, and that takes time too, right? You're actually
Yeah.
changing synapses, neurons,
Yes.
things are happening, and we need to acknowledge that. So it's a process.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that, Jesse, that truly part of that process is I think being able to be present for ourselves, being present for the ups and the downs, being present for the challenges, being present for the vulnerabilities, the scary bits, the parts of ourselves that maybe we haven't been comfortable with
Mhm.
acknowledging, and to allow them all to come into consciousness for us. And I believe that as we do that for ourselves, we then create the capacity to hold that for others. And as we can hold that, then there's that room for that expression, that discharge. And as we release that, then there's the opportunity to say, okay, well, what's here now? Right. But
Yeah, I love that.
and we
Creating
can
space.
creating space, and we can choose to stay in the stuff, right? And if people have chosen to do that up until now, that's okay, because we all, and you said this as well, we all do the best that we can at the level of awareness that we're operating from. But then as we expand our awareness, we have choices about how we want to show up to that. Yeah.
Definitely.